stick with it to some degree, but like you've been able to stick to it, which is quite impressive for a long time, long time. And I'm wondering what basically separates you from other people that's kind of like, I got left it apart and just didn't came back to it, or did not understand it well? What would you think I've done different? And what would you say to a person that's like, I don't really know. I feel like I'm not resonating with the concept anymore. I don't really know. You know what you know what I mean?
I think it's funny. It's like, all of these, Greg has so many sayings, and the CrossFit culture is so rich, but this idea, how do I say it? CrossFit is not for everybody.
Yeah.
But it is for anybody. And so there's a certain kind of humility and ego checking that is required to participate in CrossFit, right? You're going to be humbled. You're going to be tested. You're going to run into things you cannot do. And how do you handle those challenges when they show up? And so I've always felt that the people, again, and it kind of goes back to what Greg's doing, but the people that have the most curiosity, the people that are the most open are the ones that stick around forever, right? They're willing to be like, oh, for example, let's say sometimes people say, I don't want to do Olympic lifting, or overhead squatting isn't for group fitness, things like that. And to me, that misses the entire point. These skills and these challenges are invitations to ask questions of, what is it to be a human? Why do I want this position? What does that translate to? And if you just default to somebody got hurt, it's dangerous, yeah, you're not going to enjoy CrossFit. If you see like, oh, hey, I tried that thing and I can't do it, and you get curious on that, or you're like, do I need to do it? What would happen how could I possibly get there? And so, right, Thomas, you said my mom does CrossFit with me. And I think it's a great example, which is my mom is never going to get a muscle up at this point, right? She's going to be 75 years old. Do I not teach her how to pull because a muscle up isn't there? Do I not show her how to hold up? How do I slowly dose her towards that position? No, she's not going to do a muscle up. But what pieces of those puzzle are important to her? Well, she's old. She's got to be able to support herself with her arms. So could she support herself on rings? Maybe, maybe not. Oh, maybe it's bars. Maybe it's right. And so where do we find this end expression, people towards it? Because this is kind of that gold star avatar state. That's the search for what is human potential. And so there's its excitement of like, all right, you're not there, but I can start to trickle you there a little bit. And I think the people that have like this huge ego or this need for certainty, this is how you do it, they often can't flourish in CrossFit, because there has to be a natural curiosity of like, I don't know what the answer is. Let's try. Is this the answer? And then see, because I think the truth is discovered. It's not disclosed. I don't just tell you what it is. It's like we have to search and find it. And I think that's one of the things Greg kind of put out there too.
Yeah, and to rebound about that, and we can come back on that just after, but I'm so excited to ask you about that, because like CrossFit and like CrossFit spirit and as you say, CrossFit culture and what we was in the beginning and right now has evolved like thousands of time, and the evolution about CrossFit evolution about that is that I I see by my perspective as well. So we are, as I am in the beginning, I'm not in the CrossFit world since the beginning, because like you began the CrossFit, I was 5 years old. So of course I was not at that time. Social media was not what you guys do right now, of course. But don't feel old, man. Don't feel old. That's okay.
All right.
Nah, you are experienced right now.
Yes.
But I try to see the evolution of CrossFit through the affiliation part. Of course, since 2005 to 2008, that was the early days. 2008 to 2011, that was like a kind of beginning of a movement about the birth of CrossFit Games and the arrival of running. 11 to 2014, like in USA, that exploded at that time, in USA especially. 14 to 2017, the explosion worldwide. And so that begins to have like big competition in Europe, especially in the North Europe. And then after 2017 to 2020, that was like, we'd call that in French, the apogee, the peak of CrossFit. Like so many people in CrossFit Open. And actually until the like COVID part, and 2020 to 2023, like the reorganization, explosion of social medias as well, the after Greg, and then after 2023 to 2026 right now, like what we are going to discuss after is like what's about the future, the threat of other brands like IROX, and other brands that we all know. Is that so? I see the evolution of CrossFit through that seventh stage.
Mhm.
What do you think about actually what I'm talking about since like 2 minutes, and the different stage, and also what you feel as a person being at the beginning and right now?
Okay, that's a lot right there. So maybe guide me as I go through it. But first, I would say that in those early days, right, when say 2005 to 2011, like again, I was never involved with day-to-day operations for CrossFit. I was always just a coach on the floor, part of the seminar team. And so my perspective again is somewhat insulated and internal, but the growth side of that started to feel like people would walk in for a drop-in and they'd be like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm here. And I'd be like, oh, hey, welcome to the gym. Where are you guys coming from? And it'd be like, oh, we're coming from New York. We're coming from, and they started coming from all over the States. And then it started coming international. Oh, we're coming from Belgium or Germany. I'm like, or to come here? Oh, we had to. And we're like, what? And so that was kind of the thing. And then as I was traveling around for seminar, right, then it was like what, from 2000, I don't know, 11 to 14 or whatever that next stage was. You can try to help me with the eras. But then it was like, oh, now I'm flying overseas, right? I remember one time I was flying from Santa Cruz to Italy. And as I'm flying over the States, I'm like, there's no other trainers that can help on the way. And then right, and I fly, I land in Italy, and I'm like, how is it that this guy from a little tiny gym in Santa Cruz needs to come all the way here to teach people what CrossFit is? And that's when I started to realize that there was some sort of massive worldwide growth to the thing, just because, like, again, I was kind of inside, but it's like, oh, people started showing up, and then we started flying out, and it was like, wow, this is something, right? And then meeting the people at all these different gyms, there was like this known thing about it. Like everybody who's done enough CrossFit, kind of like, we go back to the ego or the thing. It's like, there was no ego. You walk into a gym in Italy or Australia and it's like, man, this feels a lot like my gym in Santa Cruz. Wow. The people have a similar kind of thing. And it was just like, this is special. And then I think the games for me, again, super exciting to be part of the judging staff, because it was really, for us, or at least for me, it was really, the seminar team would come and judge the games, right? We would do the individuals.
Yeah.
And so us as a team in that weak environment, and we'd all just hang around, and like, that was like a brotherhood like no other. And so to me, it was like less about who's winning or losing the CrossFit games. It was like, wow, we're all together. And a lot of those athletes at the time, right, Rich Froning, Chris Spieler, Matt Chan, were part of the seminar team. So the games and the seminars and the CrossFit community all felt like this. And so every year felt like a family reunion going to the CrossFit games. It just was so fun. And then watching the, dare I say, the advancement of human potential, right? From, like, let's take Annie Thorisdottir. She doesn't have the muscle up. Years later, right? And so to just see the human potential every year get, oh, they used to do that, now they, wow.
2012.
In that environment was just so exciting. And yeah, and I don't know where you would go from there, but those are the ones I remember you asking about.
Yeah, and actually that was like kind of mixed, like, because you said in early days, 2011 and 2011, like that was I think the first year in Carson, California.
Yeah,
was the
2011 was
first
Carson.
time we
No, 2010 was Carson. 2010 was Carson.
2010 until 2014, I think.
Yep.
2014 at that time was like, okay, that's a big stadium in California.
Yes.
And like, okay, and funny is like on the final award in 2014, like the double grace or something. And then after 2014, and then after in Madison, actually.
Okay.
And in 16, I think they flight back in like in the middle of the night. They flew back in the ranch for like the tendu.
Yeah, so we were actually in Carson when we flew there. We hadn't gone to Madison yet. I think it
Okay.
might have been the last year at Carson that they flew us up to Aromas to just put that. That's exactly what it felt like. So we are in Carson, right? The seminar team, and then all the athletes, and we get paired up with an athlete, and they're like, "Cool, you're the shadow buddy." And then we got on a plane, got on a bus, got on a plane, flew up to the ranch, spent, you know, the day and night, or the day, flew back. And it was, again, just being surrounded by such amazing people. All of the athletes were super humble, and all this, like, we were all friends with each other. It was just a really neat experience. Yeah.
So
and like I said, a lot of those athletes were part of affiliates. And so it just felt like a really big homecoming every year.
Yeah, at that time was like more about, and so I think that's a lot of people that are going to listen us is like they miss that time because like actually as you said, a lot of athletes were CrossFit gym owner and coach, and like I cannot think about Travis Mayer, I cannot think about Rich Froning, I cannot think about one of the brothers, I don't remember the name.
Panchaks? Yeah.
Spanchik at that time, and of course I forgot a lot of guys and women's actually, but I was that time being an athlete was more about being a coach, being maybe a gym owner, and being convinced by the methodology above all, above even being like sponsored by Nike or by Red Bull or nothing at that time. It was more about being convinced by the methodology, and doing the CrossFit Games at that time was more about being recognized for human optimization and human performance more than like gaining 200K or 300K and being recognized on social medias, because right now it's more about that actually. So yeah, that coincidence is like that's the same date. I'm maybe thinking about like writing a book about, you know, the story of CrossFit, like 20 years of CrossFit. Okay, let's write a book about that, you know, because there is so much. Gabriel is looking at me saying, "Man, you want to do everything, but like big passionate about, you know, CrossFit and the."
I'm not gonna have to stay it. You told it to me.
You know me. You know me, man. Okay, cool. So, I don't know if Gabriel, if there's another question, but you've seen the evolution of like on the ground, and that's the best point for actually the listeners that are going, let's more over as what was the evolution of like the levels? Because right now we have level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, very straight, very now. At that time, if I remember well, there is only 2 levels, and the level 4 actually, most of the level 4 since 2023 on 4 at that time was all level 2 getting back to level 4, and that was not possible to take the level 4.